Hi, this is Tatiana. As I say in the beginning of all my videos, I'm not a doctor. This video series is part of my own coping strategy, and my hope is that the stories that I tell or the advice that I give is validating someone else's gut feeling about an abusive or narcissistic negative relationship that they are in. This video series is specifically regarding steps to leaving an abuser. So I'm going to be very specific about listing some things to keep in mind. If you are planning an exit strategy, these are some things that you may want to consider. And we're talking about a dangerous relationship. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're offended by anything that I say, tough nuggies, you're not really in a bad relationship. For those of you who really are in a bad relationship, this is important information. Number one is I want you to think about your safety. As you're planning to leave, these are the strategies to keep in mind to make sure that you keep that plan secret. You do not want your abuser or narcissist to know what you are doing, and here's a list of things to do. Number one, make sure that you are deleting your history on your computer. So if you are opening Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, whatever you've been opening, whatever browser, you need to go in. As soon as you open that browser, you can find on the right-hand side, I believe, usually how to clear your history. Also, if you are watching these YouTube videos and you are signed in to YouTube or signed into your Google account, make sure that you sign out. Google Analytics is tracking what you view in order to make positive suggestions, which is great. In this case, for the types of information that you're looking for, you do not want Google Analytics butting their nose into your life. So sign out of Google, sign out of YouTube, because if you're signed in, what's happening is it is tracking the types of videos that you are watching, and then it's going to give you suggestions. So if your abusive partner is going to go on to YouTube and you're still signed in, they're going to see suggestions for the types of videos that you are watching. For example, videos like mine. You do not want your abuser to see my videos or these kinds of videos. It lets them know that you're researching how to leave. Okay, so be sure to sign out of Google and YouTube. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you are on Facebook, Google Analytics will give those suggestions of those types of safety mechanisms or narcissistic relationships, all that kind of stuff. It's going to track that, and if it has an advertisement to give you, it's going to give it to you on Facebook, and not only your Facebook, but the other person's Facebook. So be sure to log out of Google. I can't say it enough. It's tracking you, which is great 90% of the time. Not in this instance, not when you're planning on leaving. Okay, delete from your computer any photos or documentation that you have been uploading or saving. It is much better for you to save information to a private album on your Facebook. When you create an album, it gives you an option on who can see it, and you can literally put just me and just do that, and you can put in whatever information you've been looking at and you want to make sure you can go back to it. You can put that in your album underneath a photo, whatever, however you want to store that, but make sure that you've deleted it from your computer. And step one is deleting. We all know how to delete. Right click it and hit delete. But once you have deleted whatever you have there, please be sure to always go to the recycle bin. Go to the recycle bin, select the recycle bin, right click it and say empty recycle bin, because when you can delete something from your computer puts it in the recycle bin just in case you might want it again later. So you can really get yourself in trouble if you're leaving it there. So make sure that you go through the whole process when you delete. Delete, recycle bin, empty. Okay. Phone numbers in your phone. All my videos have the National Domestic Violence Hotline number on them. If you want to save that phone number, you can call them anytime. They don't ever call you back. You don't have to worry about that phone number coming up on your phone. However, if you have someone who is looking at your phone regularly, then make sure that you store that phone number under a false name. Make up a name, make something that's not going to come up suspicious. And then on top of that, after you call, just in case, always delete that phone record, that dialing record from your call logs. Okay. And then lastly, this is an odd one that we might not think about, but for example, if you're cutting and pasting, for example, if you scroll over and you take that National Domestic Violence Hotline and you cut it and you pasted it onto your Facebook, that is now stored on your clipboard. So that means that the next person who comes on the computer can literally open up a Word document and right click and hit paste, and it's going to have whatever you just copied. So make sure you always clear your clipboard. The easiest way for me is I just go to any website, whatever I'm looking at, and I just copy. I just copied whatever, just any kind of dialogue that has nothing to do with what you're actually researching, so that just in case, if somebody is thinking that far, they're not going to see whatever you last cut and pasted. Hope that made sense. That is regarding keeping your plans to leave a secret. So please be careful to do all of those things in case that you are with an abuser who is tracking you, as I have experienced myself. Okay, another side of protecting yourself is actually documenting what's going on. If you find yourself in a court of law because you've been falsely accused, or if you are in a court of law having to defend your desire for a restraining order, it is best if you have documented proof of what's going on. I've said in several videos, I have kept a calendar. On the calendar, I kind of had a secret code to say this is the kind of day we had, this is, and then I was able to track a pattern. That's a very small way to start tracking. I did have a journal that I was able to hide, and that was partial documentation. And then there was a situation where I had someone who was falsely accusing me of very criminal acts. I was being falsely accused of trying to kill them, and basically what I had was that person projecting onto me truly what I was afraid that they were willing to do, and even had to get a restraining order against a relative of theirs based on that smear campaign that narcissist was playing. They were playing a smear campaign and accusing me of terrible, terrible things, when in fact I ended up not only just getting the restraining order, but I was actually awarded a emergency protective order here in the state of California. If somebody truly threatens to kill you and uses those words, which is what happened to me, you will get an emergency protective order. And that means I walked out of that courthouse with a 10-day protective order. That means if that person had any contact with me at all whatsoever, I could call the police and they could be arrested without being served. The second step was getting that restraining order. Now, in order to get a restraining order, you are going to need some information. You need to know where that person lives or works so that they can be served, any first and last name, whatever information that you can get about that person. So start collecting your documentation in case it gets that bad. And it might not be that bad. However, we do know that when you try to leave a narcissist, leave an abuser, it will get worse. So if your gut is telling you this could really get bad, it's better for you to document than to not. So regarding documentation, have private information that you can use in court. And the second thing, which is very important, if that person fights the restraining order and you do have to go to court, it is very important, or I should say very helpful, if you have a time-dated sequence of events. So, for example, if today you're like, I'm just fed up and I'm starting to make a plan, okay? So start writing down what happened. This is such and such a day at such and such a time, and this is what happened. And then the next day you write, this is what happened. And the next day you write, this is what happened. And then at the end of the week, you send an email to yourself or to a trusted friend. You send an email, because once you send something through an email, that is legally acceptable in a court of law. It is time stamped. Now remember, because the law can actually hack into if they think that you're doing something, they have a right to go into your computer and hack every single account that you have, right? So use that law for your benefit. Figure out how or who to email. Like I said, email it to yourself. Just even if it's just a weekly timeline of what happened. Today was a good day. The next day, she gaslighted me. The next day, he stole from me. Whatever it is that's going on in your life, start documenting that and get it through the email system. If you feel like that person may hack into your email account, one of the things that I did during that scenario where I was being accused of killing and then also threatened to be killed, I was sending emails to 3 friends. I had 3 very trusted friends. They could not physically come and help me, but I let them know, please, I'm just sending this for documentation purposes. And I even on the subject title, I said, do not read for emergency uses only. And I would CC all 3 of them the same exact timeline of what was going on in my life and any documentation that I had. I had photographs, I had video clips, I had whatever I had. Okay. And again, coming back to what I said in the beginning, after I uploaded it and emailed it, I deleted it from Word, from Movie Maker. I deleted it from my computer, and then I went through and again, where do we dump it from? Get it out of your recycle bin. Okay, and then once I sent the email, I made sure that it wasn't in my sent file either. I really, really had to protect myself. However, I had 3 people who knew that if anything was going to happen, if anything happened to me, all 3 of them had the documentation that I needed, as well as all 3, I had taken my password to my accounts and broken them into 3 pieces and let them know. You're part 1, you're part 2, and you're part 3. So if anything happens to me, you have part 1 of the password, part 2, and you have part 3. Please work together and protect me, help me if anything goes wrong. And thankfully, I was awarded my, in that case, I was awarded my restraining order, and that person left me alone. So that's everything that I could think of for safety's sake. Clearly, you do want to find and choose friends and family that you feel safe with. I know that by the time that you're ready to leave, you may have already been isolated and you don't have someone to trust. In that case, again, please always feel free to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Ask them for women's shelters or support groups in your area, and call those places. Just because you call doesn't mean that you have to go, but you can certainly talk to someone, ask them what their advice is, who they think that you should talk to. If you can secretly get, if you don't have it already, if you don't have medical insurance or you don't have food stamps, see if you can get that secretly. And you are entitled to, once you have in California, once you have Medi-Cal, you can get what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, mental health services. And even in the state of Colorado, I recall I lived in Oregon, California, Colorado, and Oregon. They had a great system. If you go to college, there are services available to you. In the state of Colorado, I walked in and I had instant mental health services. The first hour, I was just amazed at the health services in Colorado. So do what you can to start building a support system, and that will also increase your safety. Okay, I believe that that's everything I have regarding safety, but please, if you feel like that this is something you've already been through and you have some additional advice for someone else who's trying to get out, please leave those in the comments. If you can, leave it anonymously, rock on. Like I said, sign out of your Google and leave a comment that is supportive and helpful, anything that you experienced and helped you feel safe. Okay, so there's a couple more videos in this series. I hope it's helpful. And again, as always, the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. Give them a call. They'll never call you back, and they're there to listen. So much love to you.